A long time ago, there were stories that people never forgot, stories written in holy books and remembered for generations. Today, I will tell you one of the greatest stories of faith and courage, the story of the people of the trench. In an ancient kingdom, there was a king who claimed to be a god. He was cruel and only followed his religion. When it suited him, he trusted magicians and corrupt people to keep his power. In this kingdom, a young boy lived. His parents wanted him to learn a trade. His mother suggested he become a priest, but his father disagreed, saying priests were too poor. Instead, he wanted the boy to become an idol maker or sell wine. Meanwhile, the king had an old sorcerer who used magic tricks to control the people. As the sorcerer became weak with age, he asked the king, "Find me a smart boy to train in magic before I die." The king agreed and told him, "Choose any boy and teach him well, but keep this power a secret." The sorcerer trained many boys, but none were talented except for one. This young boy, the sorcerer saw great potential in him and decided to teach him everything. But what no one expected was that this boy would change everything. One day, the boy walked past a kind monk. This monk secretly taught people about the teachings of Prophet Jesus. The monk asked his friend, "Who is that boy?" The friend replied, "He is the sorcerer's student. People say he can move objects and make them fly." The monk sighed. "It's sad that people waste their time on tricks instead of seeking the truth." The boy continued his training with the sorcerer. One day, the sorcerer told him, "You will perform magic at the king's grand celebration." The boy asked, "Will I get a reward if I do well?" The sorcerer became angry. "Never call it a trick again. People must believe it's real, so they will fear you." On his way home, the monk dug a small hole in the road and covered it. The boy fell in and shouted for help. The monk looked down and said, "Aren't you the little sorcerer? Here is a rope. Use your magic to bring it down to you." The boy replied, "I can't do that." The monk smiled. "Then why do people say you can make things fly?" The boy hesitated. "What do you want from me?" The monk pulled him up and said, "I want you to see the truth and stop deceiving yourself." Then he asked, "Do you want me to teach you something real?" The boy was curious but worried. "What will I tell the sorcerer if I miss lessons? What about my parents?" The monk advised, "Tell the sorcerer that your parents needed you, and tell your parents that the sorcerer kept you late." At this time, a terrifying beast appeared in the village. It blocked the roads and no one could stop it. The boy returned to the sorcerer, who asked, "Where have you been?" The boy explained, and the sorcerer replied angrily, "Your parents were worried because of the dangerous beast." Then he added, "People are asking why great sorcerer haven't removed the beast. We must do something." The sorcerer ordered the boy, "Use a trick to kill the beast." The boy approached the beast, thinking, "Today I will find out whose teachings are stronger, those of the monk or the sorcerer." First he tried his magic, but nothing happened. Then he picked up a small stone and said, "In the name of the Lord of Musa, the Lord of Jesus, and the Lord of all people." And he threw the stone, and instantly the beast died. At that moment, the boy understood faith is stronger than magic.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما رميت إذ رميت ولكن الله رمى وليبلي المؤمنين منه بلاء حسنا صدق الله العظيم.
He continued learning from the monk, getting closer to God. Soon, God gave him the ability to heal the sick. The monk warned him, "My son, be ready. One day you will be tested. Try to kill you because the king hates the truth." The people were amazed by the boy's miracles. They said, "This is not magic. This is a gift from God." When the king heard about the boy, he was furious. he shouted at his blind courtier, "People only talk about this boy. No one talks about me anymore." The courtier tried to calm him, but the king yelled, "You are blind and useless." Then he turned to the sorcerer, "And you are an old fool." The next day, the courtier visited the boy. "If you heal me, I will give you half my wealth." The boy smiled and said, "Only God can heal you. I can only pray for you." Then he placed his hands on the courtier's eyes and prayed, "O Allah, heal him with your healing, for you have power over all things." By God's will, the courtier's sight was restored. When the courtier returned, the king was shocked. His rage grew stronger and said, "Do you believe in a God other than me?" The king ordered the courtier to be tortured until he revealed the monk and the boy. The king had the monk killed, but the boy remained strong. The people whispered and said, "The king has gone too far. His cruelty is unbearable." The king finally decided to get rid of the boy. He sent his soldiers to the top of a mountain to throw him off. The boy didn't resist and said, "Would anyone run from God's plan?" Then he prayed, "Allah protect me as you will." Suddenly, the mountain shook. The soldiers fell to their deaths, but the boy survived. After surviving the mountain, the boy returned to the king and told him everything. "I prayed to God to protect me, and the soldiers fell to their deaths." The boy then tried to convince the king to believe in God, explaining that he is the only true God. But the king refused to listen. Instead, he came up with another plan. He ordered his men and said, "Take this boy far away by sea and throw him into the ocean." The soldiers took the boy onto a ship, sailing toward a place from which no one had ever returned. But once again, the boy prayed, "Ya Allah, protect me as you will." A great storm came. The ship was destroyed, and everyone on board drowned, except for the boy. He survived and returned to the king. The king was shocked. "Why won't you die?" he shouted. The boy calmly said, "If you really want to kill me, I will tell you how, but you must do exactly as I say." Desperate, the king agreed. The boy told him, "Gather all the people in one place, tie me to a tree, and take an arrow. Before you shoot, say loudly, 'In the name of the Lord of the boy.'" The king followed his instructions. He gathered the people and announced, "I will kill this boy because he follows a new religion." The people watched as the king picked up an arrow, aimed, and said, "In the name of the Lord of the boy." This time, when he shot the arrow, it hit the boy. The boy smiled as he took his last breath. At that moment, the people realized the truth. They began shouting, "We believe in the Lord of the boy! We believe in the Lord of the boy!" The king begged, "No, this isn't what I wanted." In his rage, he ordered his soldiers, "Dig a huge trench and fill it with fire. Anyone who refuses to deny their faith will be thrown inside." One by one, the believers were thrown into the flames. Among them was a mother holding her baby. She hesitated, afraid to step forward, but by God's will, her baby spoke and said, "Be patient, mother, for you are upon the truth." She took a deep breath and stepped forward, choosing faith over fear.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والسماء ذات البروج واليوم الموعود وشاهد ومشهود قتل أصحاب الأخدود النار ذات الوقود إذ هم عليها قعود وهم على ما يفعلون بالمؤمنين شهود وما نقموا منهم إلا أن يؤمنوا بالله العزيز الحميد الذي له ملك السماوات والأرض والله على كل شيء شهيد. صدق الله العظيم.
And so ended the story of the people of the trench, but their message lives on. This story teaches us the power of faith, the strength of truth against oppression, and that sometimes victory doesn't come through miracles, but through the sacrifice of one person who inspires an entire nation.